Starting to get into a comfortable position and starting to check in with your alignment in your spine and just the space between your pelvic floor and the back of your throat, and the space between the hips and the shoulders, and just tracing with your awareness just up and down your spine. And just starting to activate that center line of energy up and down your body, up and down your spinal cord. And allow the root of your spine, your tailbone, to root down into your seat if you're sitting down, and just allow it to be heavy and feel drawn toward the earth beneath you. And if you are laying down horizontally, you can feel a sense of rooting and groundedness through the soles of your feet. But just feeling the bottom end of your body just actively releasing and allowing itself to be supported and heavy. And then feel the crown of your head, the highest point in your body, actively light and reaching up toward the ceiling or the sky, and just in the opposite direction as your root. And same thing if you're laying down, just feeling the back of your neck elongate and the crown of your head reaching away from your feet. And if you're in a space where you feel safe to do so, at any point you can allow your eyes to gently close. Just mark your arrival today into this practice and into your body with a full and deep cleansing breath. A long, slow inhale in through the nose, slowly filling up. Holding for just a moment when you are full to just experience that fullness. And as you need to, slowly exhaling, bit by bit, letting it go. Pushing that final bit of air out of you to truly empty yourself, and then pause in that emptiness. The next breath comes as it needs to. And you can breathe just like that a few more rounds if that feels good, if you feel like you could use it. And then at any point you can release the guidance over your breath and just allow your body to breathe on its own, as you allow yourself to become the observer. Simply observing the fact that your body breathes without having any sort of guidance or control over the rhythm or depth of that breath. And it's okay if that feels like it's a difficult thing or impossible thing to do today. Some days it just feels like that. And then just starting to consciously soften your body and just check in and notice where your attention feels drawn, where your tension feels drawn. And notice if your brow is really furrowed or your jaw is really tight. Maybe your shoulders are kind of hunched up toward the ears. Maybe your fists are clenched. Maybe your glutes and pelvic floor are holding and tightening. Wherever it happens to be, maybe the stomach, maybe the feet, the list goes on. Just welcoming your breath into that space and allowing these areas to feel safe enough to soften as you just trust exactly where you are right now, and trust that no amount of holding tension is going to help anything. It's just something that might feel productive to us in some way, but it's really just distracting us and bringing our energy elsewhere. So just by releasing these areas where the energy is concentrated, you now have the freedom to let that energy move freely throughout your body, instead of having all these little pockets throughout your body where the energy is kind of gathering and tightening up and maybe getting stuck. By letting these areas go, you welcome that energy to travel and move freely as it's meant to. So you can just allow yourself to listen to the words that I'm going to be reading from Clarity and Connection by Young Pueblo. And just continue to soften your body, and also continue to observe and just notice if there's any words that might trigger more tension within the body. Just noticing your response to the words that are said. And then remembering that you have the power to soften in response. So, calmness helps the mind see clearly. Comparison reinforces your anxiety. Patience creates space for growth. Anger ignites fear-based reactions. And joy appears in the present moment. To release a grudge or a story that is impacting your perception, remember that what you are seeing is limited and cannot include the full context of the situation. What you think happened is not final. There is more to the story. It is not about having light and kind thoughts all the time. It is not about feeding, it is about not feeding the heavy and mean thoughts. Literally letting them pass without allowing them to take root and control your actions. I'm going to read that one more time. It is not about having light and kind thoughts all of the time. It is about not feeding the heavy and mean thoughts. Literally letting them pass without allowing them to take root and control your actions. As we move into deeper wisdom, we become motivated by a growing sense of compassion for ourselves and others. It is easier to understand others and what drives their actions when we understand our own inner world. As our conscious thinking evolves, we become gentler with ourselves and others. A new loving positivity emerges from releasing the tension of the ego and allowing clarity to come forward. The essence of healing ourselves. However, this gentleness and positivity should not be confused with a complete transformation. We can see signs of a new clarity emerging, but we must remember that the mind is vast, and the subconscious, where most of our emotional history is stored, holds much that still needs to be released. We are in a situation where our conscious thought patterns may have changed for the better, but our subconscious thoughts, the ones that sometimes spontaneously emerge, are still filled with the heaviness and harshness of old ways. This is not to say that we should force ourselves to think a certain way or push down certain thoughts. We should just be aware that this lack of a linear trajectory is a natural part of the healing process, and instead focus on cultivating the habits and practices that are helping us transform. The thing about opening yourself up to healing and growth is that once some issues melt away, deeper layers will have the space they need to come up for observation and release. There is much more accumulated in the subconscious than we can initially comprehend, This is why letting go is a long-term commitment. It is possible to get to a much happier place while still working on processing and undoing old patterns. A strong self-love helps you find a balance between giving selflessly and protecting yourself from harm. Finding ourselves can lead to confusion because who we are is always changing. Finding ourselves can be complicated without any deep healing. It is to our greater benefit to focus our efforts on freeing ourselves from the burden of past pain and patterns that do not serve our happiness. As we purify our being, as we release the heaviness that dwells within, everything about ourselves and what we should do with our time becomes clearer. Our deepest aspirations become evident the more we remove the dense clouds of ego that wrap themselves around our consciousness. Attachments are experts at hiding in plain sight. The mind may think it sees clearly, but its perceptions are often skewed. Only in the absence of ego is there objective observation. As I decreases, wisdom is given space to be. You know from your own growth that real change is possible. Even those who have caused much harm contain the same dynamic potential. Some may change more quickly than others, but the truth remains the same. With the right inner motivation, anyone can become a better version of themselves. The future you will thank you for listening to your intuition, for upholding boundaries that supported your inner thriving, for saying no to things that did not align with your values, for taking the time to build your self-awareness, and for staying true to your vision. So just take these next few moments to just let all of that settle. That was a lot. And then just allow anything that resonated with you today to stay within you, to be enhanced within you. Knowing that when words resonate with you on a deep level is just when you hear something on the outside that confirms what you already know to be true on the inside. It's just a reminder that your intuition is correct. And these are things you already know. So just allowing those things that resonated to be enhanced and allowing them to have a bit more power in controlling your actions and your thoughts so that you can act in the ways that you are proud of and that your future you will thank you for. And anything that did not resonate with you, not worrying about that and just letting those things naturally fall away. Trusting that we hear what we are meant to hear when we hear it. And you always have the option to think back and to go back in time and ponder what sort of messages you may have missed along the way. And knowing that they aren't really missed. Nothing is ever really missed. We just hear when we are meant to hear. We feel when we are meant to feel. We let go when we are meant to let go. And everything happens exactly as it should. Just taking a moment to feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. And just reminding yourself that you have the power to love and to heal already within you. And there is no gathering or seeking. There is not one more thing you need to do in order to be ready to heal or in order to truly heal. And in this book I'm reading, they said there's a lot of human doings and not human beings. And I thought that was really good. A lot of times we just feel like we need to do all of these things in order to grow and to heal and to love and you name it. We just feel like we always need to be doing something. But we are human beings, and a lot of times our biggest problems can be solved by simply that, just by being with the problem, by being with the pain, by being with the joy, by being with whatever feelings are presently presenting themselves to you. And letting yourself do whatever these feelings are requiring of you or requesting of you. Some feelings need to be cried about and grieved. Some need to be analyzed, maybe need to be worked through writing or speaking. Some need to be totally let go of and just need to be acknowledged and let go. Maybe some need to be let out in physical ways, through punching, running, jumping, and then just laying still. And the list goes on. There's all different ways emotions can be released. So just trusting your ability to decipher your emotions and trust that you know what each emotion requires. And it is okay if we make mistakes, because we will make mistakes. And maybe sometimes we will speak an emotion that really just needed to let go of, or sometimes we will ignore something and try to let go of it and something we really need to speak. And it's going to take some adjusting and learning to decipher correctly, I guess. But just trusting that you know how to do these things already. And mistakes are a part of the process. And they're not escapable. We're never going to escape making mistakes and having pain and all the, quote, negative things about life. And we are not meant to escape these things. We are not meant to feel joy and happiness and peace all of the time. We are simply meant to feel and to experience and to be. And what can create so much more suffering for us is when we try to erase parts of the human experience, where we try to feel a certain way all the time and then get down on ourselves when we don't feel happy. But just knowing that when you are happy, you can fully embrace that happiness and bask in it and soak it all in so that those memories can power you through the more difficult times. Because we will go through difficult times. You may be going through a difficult time right now. And just taking this time to truly have gratitude just for yourself and truly thank yourself for choosing to show up today and for choosing to listen, regardless of what your current circumstances are. And knowing that this is all that is asked of you. All that is asked is that you show up and you feel and you be. And you are doing all of those things right now. So if it feels like something you'd like to do, you can bring your hands to a prayer position at heart center. Just with the fingers and palms making contact with one another, pressing toward one another, and feeling your thumbs press toward your heart and letting your heart lift back toward your thumbs. And just feeling your heartbeat once again, feeling maybe the beating of your palms into each other, and just reminding yourself of this great, great power that you have and that you always have. And there's nothing that can take this away from you. And as you take a deep and full breath into the body, letting yourself fully fill up the most you have today. And as you exhale, just letting go of anything you're ready to let go of, anything that no longer serves you, as you allow your head to gently bow. Just bowing to the source of energy you have come from that is allowing your heart to beat, whatever you believe that to be. Bowing to the constant source of inspiration and guidance around you, again, whatever you believe that to be. Bowing to everyone in this space for listening and completing this practice alongside you. And most importantly, bowing to yourself for taking the time out of your busy schedule for this pure act of self-love and self-care. May this act continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights, and may you bring the same love and understanding into everything that you do and to everyone that you see. Namaste.